Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastavya Vishitarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Danatram dear devotees, thank you so much for joining today. Bhuvna Devi Mataji, is my voice clear?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, if at any point you feel that it's not clear, please let me know. I'll move to a better place.
Sure, okay? Mataji. Sure.
So, Hare Krishna, Danatram. So, let's start. Let's continue our reading of this beautiful scripture. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are in the 18th chapter of Madhya Lila, and the previous verse that was discussed was verse 90, and today we'll start from 18.91 onwards. So we have read earlier in this chapter how beautifully Lord Gopal has made this arrangement so that he comes down from the hill, from Govardhan Hill, because Lord Chaitanya doesn't want to climb up on the Govardhan Hill because he really feels that Govardhan is non-different than Krishna. And then how Lord Gopal makes this entire arrangement where he has to be brought down and Lord Chaitanya has darshan. And then we read that how Lord Chaitanya is moving to different places in Braj Dham in Vrindavan. He's going from one Leela Sthali to the other, from different places, different one of Vrindavan, and how he's enlightening the people also. And now, today's section that we'll try to cover, there is a very important learning that Lord Chaitanya is giving us. So let us continue reading 18.91 onwards. Shobha Mataji, please read Mataji, 91.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Hari Bol. CC Madhya Lila 18.91 verse. वृंदावने पुनः कृष्णा प्रकटः लीला यहाँ तहाँ लोक सभा कहिते लागिला. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everywhere the Lord went, all the people said, Krishna has again manifested at Vrindavana. Haribol. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is a very interesting pastime that took place. So now we'll see that who are they actually talking about? Who has actually manifested in Vrindavan? The next shloka. Just one moment, it's taking a little time. Yes, Bhumna Devi Mataji, please read.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 18.92. एकदिन आक्रूरेत लोकपार्थकाले वृन्दावन हैते हैते ऐसे करि कोलाहले. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One morning, many people came to Akrura Tirtha. As they came from Vrindavana, they made a tumultuous sound.
Yeah, so these devotees, they have come to Akrura Tirtha, they're coming from Vrindavan, and they're making a tumultuous sound, that kolahale, that word is used, right? Now let's go to 18.93. Sindhu Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam. प्रभु देखी खरीला लोका चरण वंदना. प्रभु कहे कहाँ है ते करीला आगमना. Translation with Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the people offered respect at his lotus feet. The Lord then asked them, "Where are you all coming from?"
Thank you, Mataji. 18.94. Padma Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताई दंडवत प्रणाम. लोक कहे कृष्ण प्रकट कालिया दहेरा जले कालिया शिरे नृत्य करे पाना रत्न ज्वाले. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The people replied, Krishna has again manifested himself on the waters of Kaliya lake. He dances on the hoods of the serpent Kaliya, and the jewels on those hoods are blazing. Thank you, Mataji Danda Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So devotees, these devotees who have come, who are talking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking them, where are you coming from? And they are saying that, and what has happened? And they are saying that Krishna, Lord Krishna has manifested on the Yamuna river, the Kaliya lake, that portion, and he's dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, and Krishna's jewels, the jewels on the hoods of Kaliya, they are blazing. So this is the sight that they have seen, and they are describing that to Lord Chaitanya. So 18.95. Shobha Mataji, please read Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandavat Pranam. Sakshat dekila loka nahi ka samshaya suni hasi kahe Prabhu sabha satya haya. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everyone has seen Lord Krishna himself. There is no doubt about it. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to laugh. He said, everything is correct. Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So everyone is very excited and they are saying that everyone, Lord Krishna has manifested and everyone has seen him. And when Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, when he hears this, he starts laughing and he's saying everything is correct. So we'll understand, why he's saying everything is correct. It's actually very meaningful. Everything is correct. Why he's saying that, we'll soon find out. Okay? 18.96. Would someone like to read? Other Matajis, Prabhus, anyone? Please don't be shy. Yeah, Padma Mataji. Yes, please Mataji read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Ei matati narashri loke ragamana sabe asi kahe Krishna pailam darashana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For three successive nights, people went to Kaliyadhana to see Krishna, and everyone returned saying, "Now we have seen Krishna himself." Haribol, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Haribol. So, for 3 successive nights, it's not just one, but 3 successive nights, this sight is seen, and where everyone is believing that this is actually Krishna, and they are very excited. They are returning, saying that we have seen Krishna himself directly, Supreme Lord. They have seen. 18.97. Sumati Mataji, please read.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु आगे काहे लोका श्री कृष्ण देखिला सरस्वती एई वाक्य सत्य कहाइला Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everyone came before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, "Now we have directly seen Lord Krishna." Thus, by the mercy of the goddess of learning, they were made to speak the truth. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So why is it mentioned that by the mercy of the goddess of learning, they were made to speak the truth? Because whom are they seeing? They are seeing Lord Chaitanya, who is actually Krishna himself. They are thinking that they have seen Krishna at the Kaliya lake and the jewels and the place, that whole glow. They are thinking that is actually Krishna, but no, that's not Krishna. But they are seeing Krishna indeed, and that is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is why, Lord Chaitanya has said that this is correct. They are thinking of someone else as Krishna, but no. But they are seeing actually Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And that is why Lord Chaitanya had said that this is correct. What they saw in Yamuna at Kaliya Ghat, that was not Krishna. But Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, and that's why it's mentioned that by the mercy of the goddess of learning, they were made to speak the truth. They were actually speaking the truth without even realizing that who actually is Krishna. Okay? We'll go to 18.98. Padmaja Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu dekhe satya Krishna darshana. Sorry. Prabhu dekhe satya Krishna darshana. Nija jnane satya chari. Asatya satya brahma. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. When the people saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they actually saw Krishna. But because they were following their own imperfect knowledge, they accept the wrong thing as Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Haribol.
Thank you, Mataji. Haribol. So that's what it's mentioned, that when the people saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that was actually seeing Krishna. But they were following that, the whole illusion that was created, that, and we'll find out that what actually was that which they were thinking as Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. It was actually something totally different. But they were under that imperfect knowledge, thinking that is Krishna. They accepted the wrong thing as Krishna, but they actually saw Krishna because they actually saw Lord Chaitanya. Okay. Now 18.99. Shobha Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
99. Bhattacharya tabe kahe Prabhu charane ajnadhe dehayai kari Krishna dharashane. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. At that time, Balabhadra Bhattacharya placed a request at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, Please give me permission to go see Lord Krishna directly. Should I read the purport, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The first puzzled people who visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were actually seeing Lord Krishna, but they were mistaken in thinking that Lord Krishna had come to Kaliya Lake. They all said that they had seen Krishna directly performing pastime on the hoods of the serpent Kaliya, and that the jewels on the Kaliya's hoods were blazing brilliantly. Because they were speculating with their imperfect knowledge, they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary human being and the boatman's light in the lake as Krishna. One must see things as they are through the mercy of spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man as man for Krishna or Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna accordingly to the verdict of Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. A sincere person is able to see Krishna through the transparent via medium of Sri Gurudeva, the spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident at Kalyadaha is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. Haribol, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So what was it actually? It was just a fisherman on the lake on his boat, and because the boat sways and the light sways, so from a distance people thought that this is actually Krishna who is dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, and that the light that they were seeing was the fisherman's boat's light, and they thought that those are the jewels on Kaliya's hoods. So something so ordinary, they thought that this is actually Krishna. So so the at this juncture, Baladev Bhattacharya, who is such a great Brahmana, who was serving Lord Chaitanya from Puri itself, he was with Lord Chaitanya. He was serving him personally. Hearing all this, all this hype about Krishna being visible, he asks Lord Chaitanya that, oh my dear Lord, can you please give me the permission, the order, so that I can also go and get darshan of Lord Krishna. So he is also seeking permission to go and see Lord Krishna. Now, this purport by Srila Prabhupada, very, very beautiful purport. And Prabhupada is explaining that they are, first of all, uses the word puzzled. They are puzzled people. They thought that they were seeing Krishna, but that was a mistake. But they were actually seeing Krishna directly, but they didn't even understand that. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that this tendency can come, if we are not seeking advice, if we are not taking instructions from a spiritual master, then we may also make this mistake thinking an ordinary person to be Krishna or Krishna to be an ordinary person. So they saw, because they were speculating with their imperfect knowledge, Prabhupada mentions, so they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary human being and a boatman's light in the lake as Krishna. See this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevya. That verse tells us that we have to seek knowledge from a spiritual master. And Prabhupada mentions that one must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna and Krishna for an ordinary man. There are so many imperfections that we have. Our senses are imperfect. The knowledge that we gain is imperfect. We have a tendency to cheat. We have a tendency to get illusioned. All these imperfections we have. With these many imperfections, how can we even think that we'll be able to see Krishna directly? So, great acharyas explain that if we are in a room and suddenly Krishna comes, we may not actually be able to recognize him, because Krishna can only be understood, he can only be recognized if we have the mercy of Sri Guru. So we should never rely on our senses. That's why for reading scriptures also, all the shlokas are there, but can we just go and read Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita just by ourselves and be very confident that we'll understand everything? No, that is why we need the mercy of Srila Prabhupada in the form of his beautiful purports. We need the mercy of our Guru Maharaj so that we have some intelligence, by their mercy through which we can try and read the scriptures. So we should never rely on our own ability to gain Krishna. That's never possible. So Prabhupada then mentioned that everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of the Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. So the position of the Guru is so important. We can never overlook that and never think that we can directly approach the Lord. And Prabhupada describes Guru as transparent via medium. Because Guru does not make any changes, he does not make any alterations. He's the link between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. So the problem is that the tendency that we have is that we try to perceive Krishna through our own material senses. And you must have heard people who imagine a lot of things. That, oh, Krishna came in my dream, Radharani came in my dream, or I can hear, I can just sit and I can hear Krishna's flute, I can hear Radharani's ankle bells. Now, these things happen with very, very advanced devotees. But the problem is that, we have a tendency to just think of, make up these things in our mind. And this is kind of like a blind following because we are not actually going to scriptures. We are not going and taking instructions from Guru or reading the authorized literatures, but we are just imagining something and we get very emotional, we get very sentimental, and we imagine a lot of things. So Prabhupada, he has in this Bhagavad Gita 4.34 purport, Prabhupada condemns two things. He condemns blind following and he also condemns absurd questions. Now, absurd questions, Prabhupada would always encourage questioning. All the, the good, sampradayas, the authorized sampradayas, their acharyas, they never curb this tendency to question. Questions are always encouraged, but questions should not be absurd. Like, once someone was asking a question that, in the spiritual planets, the petals, it's described as the lotus petals. So some question about the details of those petals. Now, those details, they are not really very important for us to know now because how does that impact our sadhana? So the speaker, he said that how does it matter? How does that affect your relationship with Krishna? So the questions which help us understand scriptures, which help us understand philosophy, they're always encouraged. Prabhupada would always very patiently answer. But absurd questions is not a good way to approach a spiritual master. The questions should be meaningful, and those inquiries are glorified. Like Arjuna's questions, Parikshit Maharaj's questions, they're all very glorious questions. And then we see how beautifully they have been answered in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then blind following. Blind following means that without reading scriptures, without asking any questions, without seeking knowledge from a guru, we just imagine something and we start following. That is incorrect. Like here, what's happening is that one person would have seen the light of a boatman's boat and he imagined that, oh, this is Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kalia. He would have spread this news and everyone started blindly following. Nobody is trying to find out whether what is this actually. So Mahaprabhu did not like this kind of superstitious blind following. Okay. So, Prabhupada has always said that devotional service, he's always used this word devotional service. Why has he, emphasized on devotional service? Because it's devotion is not just a sentiment. It should not just be restricted to something I feel in my heart. That, oh, I feel a lot of a devotion in my heart, but we completely don't want to go and read any books. We don't want to serve. We don't want to hear. We don't want to chant, nothing. It's just I'm very emotional and I feel devotion in my heart. That is why, action is very important. If we feel devotion for Krishna, then we'll try to read the words of Krishna. We'll try to read what is written about Krishna. We'll try to hear from devotees of Krishna. And when we do that, then this blind following will go away from our mind. Okay, so it's not just sentimentally imagining something that is greatly curbed by acharyas. So in this pastime, Lord Chaitanya will condemn this, this kind of blind following. Because Vaishnava means one who has reasonable faith, not blind faith. Okay, now reasonable faith means that we have to verify the credentials. No, we have to see, okay, who is the speaker? Does he have a guru? Is he coming in a sampradaya? What he is saying, is that coming in from an authorized scripture? So all these questions have to come, and especially in today's age when it is so important for us to know what our scriptures say, because it's very easily we can just write something, post it on social media, and it can become viral because it may sound very good. So, like you must have heard a lot of strange things, strange messages which support Ravan, and they say that actually, if you compare Ravan and Ram, then Ravan is better, no, because Ravan, he did so much to protect the honor of his sister, and Ram, he left his wife. These kind of messages, and people will just forward these, and without knowing who is actually Ravan, why did he actually try to kidnap Mother Sita? Why did Lord Ram leave Mother Sita? Why did Mother Sita go to the forest? There is a reason for everything. All we have to do is we have to ask devotees for the reason. It is all given in our Shastra. Devotees can answer these questions, but we have to take that much effort. But people don't take that effort, and blindly all sorts of nonsensical things will become viral. So we have to be very careful. And now we'll see what Mahaprabhu does, to curb this kind of blind following. So we'll go to the next shloka, 18.100. Sumati Mataji, please read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavata Pranams.
Dhanavad.
तबे तारे काहे प्रभु चापड़ा मारिया मूर्खे रवा के मूर्खा हाइला पंडिता हाया. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Balabhadra Bhattacharya asked to see Krishna at Kalyadaha, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mercifully slapped him, saying, "You are a learned scholar, but you have become a fool, being influenced by the statements of other fools." Should I read purport, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji,
Hare
please.
Krishna. Purport. Maya is so strong that even a person like Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who was constantly staying with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was influenced by the words of fools. He wanted to see Krishna directly by going to Kaliya Daha, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the original spiritual master, would not allow his servant to fall into such foolishness. He therefore chastised him, slapping him just to bring him to a real sense of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So the chastisement of superiors is actually their sign of love, right? So Balbhadra Bhattacharya, he is a learned, Mahaprabhu is saying, you are a learned scholar and you have become a fool being influenced by the statements of other fools. So he is there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, personally present with Krishna himself, and yet hearing that somewhere some people think that Krishna is dancing on the woods of Kalia, he wants to go there. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that Maya is so strong that even a person like Balbhadra Bhattacharya, who's constantly staying with Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was also influenced by the words of the fools, and he wanted to go and see Krishna, at Kalyadha. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's the original spiritual master, he's the Adi Guru, so he does not allow his servant to fall into such foolishness, so he chastises him by slapping him lovingly, and therefore to bring him to a real sense of Krishna consciousness. Now, the important lesson that we have to learn here is that even after being with a great devotee of Krishna, even after being with Lord Krishna directly, as in this case, if one does not take advantage of such association, then one may get carried away by blind following or false presentation of the truth. So, we should always be very, very careful that even in the association of devotees, we have to take advantage of that association. And how do we take advantage? By hearing, by following their instructions. It's not that I'm just physically present with devotees. Yes, that itself is great because, we have those positive vibrations that will definitely affect us. But then Maya is so strong that even if we are in that association, we may still fall prey to blind following or false representation of truth. So we have to be very careful that we have to take advantage of the association. And we don't, we should not maintain that independent mentality that, okay, I am hearing what the superiors are saying, but I don't want to follow them. I have my independent mindset, and that is what I'm going to follow. So if we maintain our independent mentality, then the Lord does not interfere with that. That is the big risk. We want Lord Krishna to enlighten us. We want the Lord to take away the darkness of ignorance from our heart. But for that, we have to surrender our intelligence to Krishna. We cannot say that, okay, this does not make sense to me. Yeah, you're fine. Krishna is saying this in Bhagavad Gita, but I don't want to do what he's asking me to do. Yeah, he's asking me to give up all forms of dharma and surrender to him, but I don't want to do that. So if we are maintaining that independent mentality, then we are at that risk. So we have to be very, very careful. So the Lord is chastising Balbhadra Bhattacharya here. So just being alone with a great devotee in itself is not enough. We have to absorb what they are teaching us. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Adi Guru, so he would not allow his servant to fall into such foolishness. That's why he is chastising. Now let's go to 18.101. Padmaja Mataji. Mataji, please read Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Uh,
Krishna ke na darshana diba kali kale nija brahme murkha loka kare kolahale. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken are simply causing agitation and making a tumult. Purport also. Purport Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first statement, Krishna Kane Darshana Diba Kali Kale, refer to the scriptures according to scripture. Krishna appears in Dwapar Yuga, but he never appears as himself in Kali Yuga. Rather, he appears in Kali Yuga in a covered form. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam. Krishna appears in the age of Kali in the garb of a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who always associates with his internal soldiers, Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Srivasa Prabhu, and Gadadhara Prabhu. Although Balbhadra Bhattacharya was personally serving Lord Krishna in his role as a devotee, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he mistook Lord Krishna for an ordinary man and an ordinary man for Lord Krishna because he did not follow the rules set down by Shastra and Guru. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Mataji. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying something very logical, right? That, okay, fine, if you think that Krishna is there, just see what scriptures are saying. Does the scripture say that Lord Krishna will appear in Kali Yuga? No, as himself, Krishna does not appear. He appears in Dwapar Yuga. In Kali Yuga, there is an hidden incarnation, and that is Lord Chaitanya, which is mentioned in the scripture. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first statement refers to the scriptures. So we have to see what the scriptures are saying. Then Prabhupada says that Krishna appears in the age of Kali in the garb of a devotee. So he doesn't appear openly. It's a hidden incarnation of Lord Chaitanya, and he comes with his associates. And then Prabhupada mentioned that although Balbhadra Bhattacharya was personally serving Lord Krishna in his role as a devotee, he mistook Lord Krishna for an ordinary man. So he didn't understand that Lord Chaitanya actually is Lord Krishna because he did not follow the rules set down by Shastra and Guru. So we have to really, Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, we have to, we have to be very, very strong in our belief in Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Okay, that is what is recommended by the Acharyas. And that is why we see that Srila Prabhupada, he does not make any deviation from the scriptures. Whatever the scriptures are saying, yes, he makes it understandable. For the age of Kali, for the people with limited intelligence, he uses simpler language in his purports we see, and he stresses many points again and again so that the point gets drilled in our head. He makes it simple to understand, but he doesn't make any changes, no deviations. Okay. And when we read scriptures, when we read what is prescribed, we see that Prabhupada, made all these things as a part of our routine, so that it's easy for us to follow these things, like, appreciating or offering respects to Guru, offering respects to Tulsi Maharani, to acharyas, reading scriptures, chanting, maintaining the cleanliness through our daily sadhana, through our regulative principles. He took the essence of the scriptures and he brought it down in such a language that we will be able to understand it. And it is very, very scientific. Everything that we do, there is a reason behind it. So we should never think that, oh, Sanatan Dharma is a dharma where you worship plants, you worship rocks, you worship mountains. No, it's not that every plant is worshipped. It's not that every stone is worshipped or every hill is worshipped. Giriraj is worshipped because there is a reason. Tulsi Marani is worshipped because there is a reason. Shaligram Shila is worshipped because there is a reason. Why a fire is offered in the aarti, why the handkerchief, why the flowers, why the dhoop, everything. It's all very, very logical and scientific. We just need to find out the reason. Okay, so the blind following something without actually knowing the reason behind it, that is curbed. Okay, and we have to understand that when we are in the association of devotees, we should take advantage of what they are teaching us. Otherwise, we can also get illusion. Now, next shloka 18.102. Chandana Mataji, please read, Mata.
Hare Krishna Mataji. वाटुला ना होई घरे रहत वसिया कृष्ण दर्शन करिह काली रात्रि ये याना. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Do not become bad. Simply sit down here and tomorrow night you will go see Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking him, there is no need to go, just sit here. We'll see what happens in the coming section. Yeah, Shobha Mataji, 18.103. Please read, Mataji.
103 हरि बोल माता जी दंडवत प्रातः काले भव्य लोका प्रभु स्थाने आईला कृष्ण देखी आईला प्रभु तन्हारे पूछीला. Translation by Vedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. The next morning, some respectable gentlemen came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord asked them, "Have you seen Krishna?" Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji. So the Lord is asking these respectable gentlemen that, have you seen Krishna? Because that seems to be the talk of the town at that moment. Okay, next shloka 104. Would someone like to read? Virendra Prabhu, you want to read, Prabhu? Chandana Mataji.
Yes, I will read.
Yeah, please read.
लोक कहे रात्रे कैवर्त्य नौकटे च दिया कालिया दहे मत से मारे द्युति ज्वालिया. And the translation is, these respectable gentlemen replied, at night in Kalia Lake a fisherman lights a torch in his boat and catches many fish.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So then they start describing what actually is happening. So at night in Kalia Lake, a fisherman lights a torch in his boat and catches many fish. That's what was happening actually. So, yeah, Chandana Mataji, 105. Please read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. दूरा है ते ताहा देखी लोके रहाय भ्रमा कालियेरा शरीर कृष्णा करिचे नर्तना. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. From a distance, people mistakenly think that they are seeing Krishna dancing on the body of the Kaliya serpent. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji. So this is actually what was happening, that it was a fisherman, and then from a distance, people were mistakenly thinking that they are seeing Krishna dancing on the body of the Kaliya serpent. Okay. Go to 106. Dr. K. Karpagavali Mataji, please read, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji?
Am I audible, Mataji? Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji. Please read.
Thank you. Naukate kalya jnana Tipti Ratna Jnani Jaliyare Muda Kloka Krishna Karin Mane. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. Mataji. These fools think that the boat is the Kaliya serpent and the torchlight, the jewels on his hood. People also mistake the fisherman for Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. So, in at night, in the darkness, this is what they saw a vision, and they thought that the boat is actually Kaliya serpent, the torchlight, the jewels on his hoods, and they thought that the fisherman is actually Krishna. Okay. Yeah. 107. Shobha Mataji.
Dandavad Pranam Mataji, text 107. Vrindavane Krishna Aila, Seyi Satya Haya, Krishnera Dekila Loka, Iha Mitya Naya. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, Lord Krishna has returned to Vrindavana. That is the truth. And it is also true that people have seen him. Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So Lord Chaitanya is there. So Lord Krishna is actually there. And people are seeing him. So people have actually seen Krishna also. Now sometimes the problem is that something that is right in front of our eyes, we somehow don't understand its importance. And something that gets created like a hype, we find that very fascinating. Like in the 90s, I'm sure many of you would remember, there was one day where Lord Ganesha's deity was drinking milk. Do you remember? So it was all over the news. And that was not the time of social media still, but still that news became viral. And Gaurang Prabhu was telling in one of his lectures, His Grace Gaurang Prabhu, that the devotees are very intrigued when they heard that Lord Ganesha's deity is drinking milk. So some of them wanted to try that. And when His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj found out about this, he said that 6 times a day, Radha Gopinath ji are accepting offering, right? So what is so fascinating about a deity accepting milk? That is happening six times a day in your temple itself, where you are all there. Now the problem is that because we are offering bhoga and we somehow actually forget that Krishna is actually accepting that bhoga. We somehow many times it happens, speaking about myself, we do it as a matter of routine. But Krishna is actually accepting that offering. The Lord is there, and that is why we need devotees to keep telling us, so that we actually believe that the deity is Krishna. Our home deities, temple deities, we are offering our services with love. Krishna will accept that service. Krishna is actually present in the deity. So that is something we need to keep reminding ourselves about, and not get fascinated by different kind of philosophies or different kind of things we hear. So Prabhupada said that bhakti is actually very simple. It is simple for the simple. So we have to keep our heart and mind very, very simple, and not go for any weird other, kind of logics that we may be hearing about. Okay. Now let's go to 18.108. Padma Mataji. Mataji, you want to read?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. किंतु कौन कृष्णा देखे कौन ब्रह्मा माने स्थानु पुरुषे यैचे विपरीत जाने. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But where they are seeing Krishna, it's a mistake. It's like considering a dry tree to a person. But the word sthanu means a dry tree without leaves. From a distance, one may mistake such a tree for a person. This is called sthanu purusha. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Vrindavana, the inhabitants considered him an ordinary human being, and they mistook the fisherman to be Krishna. Every human being is prone to make such mistakes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was mistaken for an ordinary sannyasi. The fisherman was mistaken for Krishna, and the torchlight was mistaken for bright jewels on Kaliya's hoods. Hari Bol Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Tanutana Mataji, thank you so much. So this kind of illusion, this is what, for three nights people were seeing this and everyone was trying to go and see, and they think that they have actually seen Krishna, but they don't understand where they have actually seen Krishna. Okay. Padmaja Mataji, 109, 18.109.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
प्रभु
Krishna.
कहे कहाँ पहला कृष्ण दर्शना, लोक कहे सन्यासी तुम्हें जंगमा नारायणा. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked them, where have you seen Krishna directly? Purport. The people replied, you are a sannyasi, a renunciant. Therefore, you are a moving Narayana, Jangama Narayana. This is the viewpoint of Mayavada philosophy. Mayavada philosophy supports the impersonalist view that Narayana, the supreme personality of Godhead, has no form. One can imagine impersonal Brahman in any form, as Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Vivasvanu, Ganesha, or Devi Durga. According to the Mayavada philosophy, when one becomes a sannyasi, he is to be considered a moving Narayana. Mayavada philosophy holds that the real Narayana does not move because, being impersonal, he has no legs. Thus, according to Mayavada philosophy, whoever becomes a sannyasi declares himself Narayana. Foolish people accept such ordinary human beings as the supreme personality of Godhead. This is called Vivarta Vada. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recommends that Jangama Narayana means that the impersonal Brahman takes a shape and moves here and there in the form of a Mayavadi sannyasi. The Mayavada philosophy confirms this. Dandagrahana matrena naro narayana bhavet. Simply by accepting the danda of the order of sannyasa, one is immediately transformed into Narayana. Therefore, Mayavadi sannyasis addressed one another by saying Om Namo Narayana. In this way, one Narayana worships another Narayana. Actually, an ordinary human being cannot become Narayana. As the chief Mayavadi sannyasi, Sri Shankaracharya says, Narayana paro vyaktat. Narayana is not a creation of this material world. Narayana is above the material creation. Due to their poor fund of knowledge, Mayavada sannyasis think that Narayana, the absolute truth, takes birth as a human being, and that when he realizes this, he becomes Narayana again. They never considered why Narayana, the supreme personality of Godhead, would accept an inferior position as a human being and then again become Narayana when he is perfect. Why should Narayana be imperfect? Why should he appear as a human being? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely explained these points while in Vrindavana. Haribol Mataji, thank you Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Very wonderful purport, Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is explaining, because the devotees who have come, they are saying that Krishna has appeared, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, where have you seen Krishna directly? And the people replied, you are a sannyasi, you are a renunciant, therefore you are moving Narayana. So this Jangama Narayana, this term, so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that this means that the impersonal Brahman, first of all, the impersonalists believe that God does not have a form, he is impersonal, but he takes the form of a sannyasi, and he is moving here and there in the form of a Mayavadi sannyasi. And this is what they believe in. So, and they say that the impersonal Brahman can be imagined in any form, as Vishnu, as the Lord Shiva, Ganesha, Durga Devi, or Vivaswani, in any form. And according to the Mayavad philosophy, Prabhupada explains that when one becomes a sannyasi, he is to be considered a moving Narayana. So that's why the Mayavadi sannyasis, they'll be offering respects to the other sannyasis, but they will not go to a Vishnu temple, to Lord Narayan's temple. They will think that every sannyasi is a moving Narayana, but they will not worship Lord Narayan. So Prabhupada brings out the flaws in this kind of a philosophy through his wonderful purport. And then he mentions that actually an ordinary human being cannot become Narayana. Whether one is in a conditioned state or whether one is in a liberated state, the difference between God and the Jiva always remains. And then Prabhupada explains that, as Sri Shankaracharya has said, that Narayan is not a creation of this material world. Narayan is above the material creation. But they don't even understand these things which Shankaracharya himself has explained very clearly. Then Prabhupada mentions that they never consider why Narayan, the Supreme Lord, would accept an inferior position of a human being. So it's very, very basic flaw in their logic. And then again became Narayan when he is perfect. Why should Narayan be imperfect? How can God ever be imperfect? Right? If he's taking a bodily form, that means there is imperfection. Why would God take an imperfect form? How can God ever become imperfect? So why should he appear as a human? So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely explained these points while at Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu is going to very strongly cut down this philosophy. Okay, 110. Let's read 110. Shobha Mataji, you want to
Hare
read?
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
वृंदावने हा लीला तुम्ही कृष्ण अवतारा सोमा देखी सर्वलोका हा लीला निस्तारा. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The people then said, "You have appeared in Vrindavana as an incarnation of Krishna. Just by seeing you, everyone is now liberated." Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So Lord Krishna is there in the form of Lord Chaitanya, and they are saying that just by seeing you, everyone is now liberated. Okay. So we'll see how Mahaprabhu is going to establish very strongly this concept, this philosophy, correct philosophy. Okay. Yeah. So A.M. Radhika Mataji, you want to read 111?
Hare Krishna Mataji, yes Mataji. Radhuka he Vishnu Vishnu Ihana Kaliba Jivada me Krishna Jnana Bhava na Kariba Kabu na Kariba. Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately exclaimed, Vishnu, Vishnu, do not call me the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A jiva cannot become Krishna at any time. Do you even say such a thing? Puppet also. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately stated that a living being, however exalted he may be, should never be compared to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of Sri Chaitanya's Mahaprabhu's preaching protests the monistic philosophy of the Mayavadi school. The central point of Krishna consciousness is that the Jiva, the living entity, can never be accepted as Krishna or Vishnu. This viewpoint is elaborated in the following verses. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So whenever Lord Chaitanya, anyone would call him as Krishna, he would cover his ears and he would say, "Oh, Vishnu, Vishnu." He would never want to hear this, because he was teaching this lesson that one should never think that a human being, a living entity, can ever become God. That was a big lesson that he wanted to give. So that's what he's doing here. That do not call me the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A jiva cannot become Krishna at any time. Very, very clearly, the Lord himself is saying that a jiva cannot become Krishna at any time. Do not even say such a thing. Mahaprabhu is very strongly opposing this. Okay? 112. Who would like to read? Anyone?
May Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna. Sannyasi chitkana jiva kirana khana soma sad aishwarya purna Krishna aya saryo Mataji suryopama. Mataji, please. Suryopama.
Yeah.
Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. A sannyasi is the renounced order, is certainly part and parcel of the complete whole. Just as a shining molecular particle of sunshine is part and parcel of the sun itself. Krishna is like the sun, full of six appearances, but the living entity is only a fragment of the complete whole. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Mahaprabhu is giving this example of the sunshine and a spark of the sunshine, a small ray of the sun. That the sun ray, sunshine is part and parcel of the sun, definitely, but it is very small compared to the sun. So in the same way, the living entity is part and parcel of Krishna, the supreme whole, but a very small fragment, only a fragment of the complete whole. This distinction has to be understood. Okay. Chandana Mataji, 113.
Hare Krishna Mataji. जीवा ईश्वर तत्व कभू न है समा ज्वाला दग्नि राशि ऐचे स्फुलिंगे रकाना. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A living entity and the absolute personality of Godhead are never to be considered equal, just as a fragmental spark can never be considered the original flame. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mayavadi sannyasis consider themselves Brahman and they superficially speak of themselves as Narayana. The monastic disciples of the Mayavada school, known as Smarta Brahmanas, are generally householder Brahmanas who accept the Mayavadi sannyasis as Narayana incarnate. Therefore, they offer their obeisances to them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately protested this unauthorized system, specifically mentioning that a sannyasi is nothing but a fragmental portion of the supreme Chitkana Jiva. In other words, he is nothing more than an ordinary living being. He is never Narayana, just as a molecular portion of sunshine is never the sun itself. The living entity is nothing but a fragmental part of the absolute truth. Therefore, at no stage of perfection can a living entity become the supreme personality of Godhead. This Mayavada viewpoint is always condemned by the Vaishnava school. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself protested this philosophy. When the Mayavadis accept sannyasa and consider themselves Narayana, they become so puffed up that they do not even enter the temple of Narayana to offer respects, for they falsely think themselves Narayana himself. Although Mayavadi sannyasis may offer respects to other sannyasis and address them as Narayana, they do not go to Narayana temple and offer respects. These Mayavadi sannyasis are always condemned and are described as demons. The Vedas clearly state that living entities are subordinate parts and parcels of the Supreme. Eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. The Supreme Being, Krishna, maintains all living entities. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So the Lord is very clearly explaining that the living entity and the absolute personality of Godhead can never be considered equal, just as a spark can never be considered the original flame. So in the previous verse, it was the example of sunshine and the sun, and now this example of the whole flame and one tiny spark. They can never be considered to be equal. So in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, the living entity can never become equal to the Lord. Okay. Now let's go to 114. Someone like to read? Shubha Mataji? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Is the same meter here or a different paper?
Yeah, I think same meter, Mataji.
Mataji, Bhagavatam meter.
Radhinya Samvit.
Okay, Mataji, I try the Bhagavatam meter. Yes.
Radhinya Samvit Sachit Ananda Ishvara Swavitya Samvrita Jiva Shanklesha Nikarakara. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the superior controller, is always full of transcendental bliss and is accompanied by the potencies known as Radhini and Samvat. The conditioned soul, however, is always covered by ignorance and embraced by the threefold miseries of life. Thus, he is treasure house of all kinds of tribulations. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. This quotation of Vishnu Swami is cited in Sridhara Swami's Bhavartha Deepika commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.6. Haribol Dandavat Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is very clearly mentioned that the Lord is always full of transcendental bliss, Sachidananda Vigraha, right? And he has potencies known as Ladini and Sambit. But the conditioned soul is always covered by ignorance, and we are stuck in the threefold miseries, embarrassed by the threefold miseries. And it's mentioned that he's a treasure house of all kinds of tribulations. So one side is all kinds of tribulations, and the other side is the Supreme Lord Sachidananda Vigraha. So how can we ever say that the living entity can become equal to the Lord? Okay? So that's never possible. Yeah, I think we can stop here because the other purport is a little longer. Or are you all okay with another 5 minutes? Can we do 115? Because
Okay,
107
Mataji.
another section starts. So if you're all fine, we can just complete
Mataji.
15 and 16.
Mataji,
Okay.
yes, Mataji. Okay.
So would someone like to read 115?
Yes, Mataji, I will read.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
एई मूढ़ा कहे जीवा ईश्वर हाय समा सेता प्रशंडी हाय दंडे तारयमा. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. A foolish person who says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the same as the living entity is an atheist, and he becomes subject to punishment by the superintendent of death, Yamaraja. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura says that the word Pashandi refers to one who considers the living entity under the control of the illusory energy to be equal with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material qualities. Another kind of Pashandi is one who does not believe in the spirit soul, the superior potency of the Lord, and therefore does not distinguish between spirit and matter. While describing one of the offenses, again as chanting the holy name, specifically the offense called Shruti Shastra Ninda, blaspheming the Vedic literature. Jiva Goswami states in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Yatha Pashanda Margena Dattatreya Shabha Devo Pashakanam. Pashandinam, worshipper of impersonalists like Dattatreya are also Pashandis. Concerning the offense of Aham Mam Buddhi or Dehatma Buddhi, considering the body to be the self. Jiva Goswami states, Devadravina Nadi Nimittaka Pashandi Shabdena Cha Dashaparadha Eva Lakshyante Pashandi Mayatvat Tesham. Those who are overly absorbed in the conception of the body and the bodily necessities are also called Pashandis. Elsewhere in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhakti Sandarbha, it is stated, Uddishya Devata Eva Juhoti cha Dadati cha Sa Pashandi Vijneya Swatantro Vapi Karmashu. A Pashandi is one who considers the demigods and the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be one. Therefore, a Pashandi worships any kind of demigod as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who disobeys the orders of the spiritual master is also considered a Pashandi. The word Pashandi has been described in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam, including 4.2.28, 30 and 32, 5.6.9, and 12.2.13 and 3.43. On the whole, a Pashandi is a non-devotee who does not accept the Vedic conclusions. In the Hari Bhakti Vilasa 1.117, there is a verse quoted from the Padma Purana describing the Pashandi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse as the following text.
Hare
Hari Bol
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hari Bol.
Mataji. Let's read the next verse and then we'll try to understand because we have to understand who is a Pashandi. So let's quickly
Hare-
read 16.
Hare Krishna Mataji, shall I read?
Yes,
Hare Krishna.
yes, please read.
Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarudradidevatai Samatvenaiva Sviksheta Sapashandi Bhave Dhruvam. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Translation, Mataji, want to read?
I'm not. Translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Jai. A person who considers demigods like Brahma and Shiva to be on an equal level with Narayana is to be considered an offender or Pashandi offenses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in these two verses, it is being explained, Mahaprabhu is explaining that considering a jiva as Narayan is a very, very big offense. And in the various verses that were quoted in the previous purport, Srimad Bhagavatam 4 to 28, 30, 32, 5, 6, 9, 12 to 13 and 3.43, the different types of Pashandis are explained. So one type of Pashandi is one who thinks that the Jiva and the Supreme Lord are same. Then next, who think that there is no difference between spirit and matter. Then worshippers of impersonalists like Dattatreya are also called as Pashandis. Then those who are overly absorbed in the conception of body and bodily necessities, they are also Pashandis. Then those who consider demigods to be on the same level as the Supreme Lord. Then those who disobey the orders of the spiritual master. So in essence, it is described that a Pashandi is a non-devotee who does not accept the Vedic conclusions. Okay, that is a Pashandi. Okay. So in this section that we have read today, we see how Mahaprabhu is very strongly cutting down this misconception of blind faith, and he's explaining very, very clearly the importance of hearing from Guru and not just getting emotional and following something without any logic. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you all so much. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sorry, Mataji, the last one. What are the four categories? One who does not, who treats Brahma and Shiva equal, one category. Second category, you were talking about spiritual master. What is it? Does not accept spiritual master. What was that?
Does not follow basically disobeys the orders of the spiritual master.
Okay, offenses. Okay, ma'am. Disobeys the orders of the spiritual master. And the third category is the one who is extremely materially conscious, right? Bodily consciousness. Mind.
Overly absorbed in the conception of body and bodily necessities.
Which are the other two, Mataji?
Yeah, I'll just repeat, Mataji. So those who consider that there is no difference between spirit and matter, it's all one. Then those who think that Jiva and the Supreme Lord are on the same level. Then worshippers of impersonalists like Dattatreya. Then those who are absorbed in the bodily conception of life.
Mataji, Dattatreya is impersonal. Dattatreya is who, Mataji?
Impersonalist, and that people who follow him, who consider him to be the all in all, they will also be considered as Pashandis.
Sure, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And consider Jiva and matter as equal means what, Mataji? That means
spirit and matter. So they don't think that there is a soul. There are people who think that this body is all in all. Once this body is over, everything is over. So they don't believe in the soul. Spirit and matter, they think it's the same.
Sorry, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Pumna Devi Mataji. Hare Krishna, Shri Chaitanya
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripasindubhyascha Anantakoti Vaishnav ki jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavad pranam. Very lovely class.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Mataji, with your permission.
Yes, yes. Thank you.